everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film a review video for the Book Naturalist Book Club February read, which was Undrowned, Black Feminist Lessons for Marine Mammals by Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Very slim little piece of nonfiction here, and just a little background information about Alexis Pauline Gumbs. She is a American author from, I think, North or South Carolina, and she is a poet and a writer and a scholar, and she has written this sort of book of meditations about the interconnections between marine mammals and humans, and it was a really interesting read. It's not something that I would normally pick up, so I'm really glad that we chose this book for Book Naturalist Book Club, because I think it's really good to read books out of your comfort zone sometimes. So this book was published by a publisher I had never heard of called AK Press, and this particular book is number 2 in their Emergent Strategies series. So AK Press is a worker-owned collective, and they publish works that are sort of radical in nature, are aimed at producing change in the world. And I thought this was a really interesting book of basically essays. So each chapter has a various number of essays, short essays within it, and each deals with a different marine mammal and tells like some really interesting and maybe little known facts about these marine mammals. And some of these marine mammals I had never even heard of before. So it was really quite intriguing to read about creatures that you really had never heard of or you don't really hear of a lot. And I thought that some of the connections that she made between those marine mammals and either their life history or the ways in which they utilize resources or the ways in which they interact with the world and how she connected that with humans was really fascinating. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the book. I will say that the book gets a little bit to what I call woo-woo for me in places, and by that I mean sort of the more emotional, maybe even you might call it spiritual aspects of the connections that Gumbs is making. That doesn't always work for me, but I've truly appreciated this as being a work that is outside of my normal routine reading. It's certainly different than anything else we've picked to read before in the Book Naturalist Book Club. So for that reason, it broadened my horizons, and I, for the most part, really enjoyed my time spent with this. And I took this book over a course of a week and read it a few essays at a time, and I really recommend that as an approach to this book, because the way that this book is written is sort of, like I said, a series of meditations, and I think if you read it all at once, it may become too repetitive almost, or too much of a certain thing. And I think by pacing myself over a whole week, it gave me the opportunity to sort of reflect upon what she's talking about in each of her pieces and think about them and sort of how they connect to myself or what I know about the world. You can see that I did tab quite a bit. And as usual, when I do these reviews, I have a couple of sections that I would like to share with you. So chapter 11, the title of this chapter is Respect Your Hair. And I want to just read what she says here because I think it's really good. One of the major things I found when I studied guidebooks about marine mammals was that much of the same language that fuels racism, gendered binaries, and other forms of oppression shows up in scientific descriptions of marine mammals. Most of these descriptions are also written by white Western men. This section looks at the hair of seals, walruses, and whales in connection with hair discourses within our species in order to reclaim the bodily feature most entangled with the racial definition after skin. So this chapter 11 deals with hair, as she says, and how hair is described on these different marine mammals, how it's described in humans, how it's used to be discriminatory towards certain groups of people. And I thought some of the points that she made about that was really, really enlightening for me. Another section she talks about is, what's the name of this chapter? It's called Rest. And a lot of these essays are about mothering and parenting and that sort of thing, and I found these to be really impactful. So I just want to read you this short few paragraphs here. A mother gray seal loses 13 pounds a day while nursing. That would mean in the 3 or 4 weeks before weaning and mating again, she will lose 83% of her body weight. The maximum measured weight of a female assigned gray seal is 440 pounds. 13 pounds is a third of the weight of the pup itself at birth, 24 to 40 pounds. In those 3 or 4 weeks, the pup will triple or quadruple in size. She does take breaks to eat, though. Occasionally she takes a break to eat. Those last about 1 to 3 minutes, including the time it takes to dive down to the seafloor and come back. Is this a word problem? I think about the proportional cost of intimate creation, how much it takes, what we give to the world we are growing, where we give it from, and how we maintain. I am stunned by the math. But maybe it is a word problem. I have learned the phrase, give it her all. I have heard people praised over and over again as tireless, right through their exhaustion and death. I myself have forgotten to eat. What if we made the calculation? 13 pounds a day and only minutes to replenish. An offering so huge we barely exist. A dive we have to make and come right back. Just the simple awareness of how much of myself is swimming away now. How much I offer that I'll never hold. And I must be made new because I gave you my all. And I must be my all because you made me new. You must be made new. So I just thought that was really, really profound. And not just about the actual physical act of being a mother and what that costs you physically, but just as a woman, what you're asked to give as a world, to give to the world in a nurturing way. And I think all of us can recognize that fact, that, you know, maybe at work or in the home, in the family or whatever, like being asked to give more than you have, like more than you can physically give or more than you can emotionally give, or just being exhausted because of how much you've been giving. I think we can all relate to that. So there's a lot in here to connect with. I really do recommend it, especially if you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit off the beaten path. I think this book definitely does that, definitely takes you off the beaten path and gives you a new perspective, which is all we can hope for in our reading, is getting new perspectives. So really appreciative that I read this book in February. Also the connections made for Black History Month. That was really great to have. So in March, we have 2 books on the agenda for Book Naturalist book clubs. The first is Spineless, The Science of Jellyfish and the Art of Growing a Backbone by Juli Berwald. And Why Fish Don't Exist, A Story of Lost Love and the Hidden Order of Life by Lulu Miller. So we're headed into more oceanographic stuff for the month of March. Very much looking forward to both of these books and really looking forward to discussions about these 2 books at the end of March. I hope you will all join us for the March reads for Book Naturalist book clubs. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all doing well and finding some great books to read, and I will talk to you later.